good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh, it's so good to be alive. I am the happiness queen, and we are the happy center. Now that has caused some problems for us because sometimes people tell me that I am superficial and shallow, and sometimes people say, you people are crazy. You are too happy for my comfort zone, like John had said, and people have actually left the center, saying you guys are just too happy for me. I want to stay in my misery and my struggle. And we say that's okay, take your misery and your struggle and go. Go out into the world, which will welcome you in misery and struggle, because most of the people in the world think that life is meant to be hard, that life is meant to be a struggle and to be a drag, you know. It's like, oh my God, I have to get through the day. And so in all of this exploring of happiness over the years, I found a lot of information that says how to get happy. If you do this, you can get happy. 12 ways to be happier. That kind of information is out there in abundance of how to be happy, how to be happier. But what is the leading edge research that is going on right now is what happens when you are happy. Why should you be happy other than it feels good to be happy? There are
ghosts.
Hello? There are things that happen in your life when you are happy, and they are measurable and they are studyable. And one of the big areas that is shifting and learning about the effect of happiness is in allopathic medicine. There is a transformation going on right now in allopathic medicine that is looking at this idea of happiness as a factor in health, wholeness, and healing. Do you remember when, Do you remember when stress was such a big deal? Oh my God, stress could make you sick. It was a revelation. It was, well, there are those type A personalities, and then the insurance company wanted to charge you more if you were a type A personality because they knew you were going to stress yourself into sickness. There was this big revelation not too long ago that said if you're overworked, if you're stressed out, and if you're exhausted all the time, chances are pretty high you're going to need some insurance because you're going to get sick. You're going to create illness through that experience, and now it's just normal. There's a hormone that's released, I think it's called cortisol. Is that what it's called? Yeah. That's measurable in your bloodstream if you're too stressed out, and if you've got high levels of that, they know that the chances of you getting sick are skyrocketing, and that if somebody needs to do something, somebody stop me. You know, I got high levels of cortisol. Got to do something before I'm getting sick. And now here's this idea that says to get well, happiness plays a big part, and it can be measured and it can be studied. And now there's a whole big storage of information about what happens when you get happy. I mean, not only do we get to sing, 'cause I'm happy, da, 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 and people have a big smile on their face, and they say, well, it's easier to smile than it is to frown, and people kind of like you better because you're happy. Not only that, but there are certain measurable things that happen to you. The easiest to measure is in your body. You can experience happiness and like that change your body chemistry. And you can experience anger, frustration, resentment, victimization, overwhelm, and like that, change your body chemistry. So right now, there's a whole movement in what we would have called up until now pretty straight, hung-up people that says, wait a minute, there is a mind element of the mind-body connection. There is a mental element that will actually affect your state of health or disease. And it's coming out in all kinds of articles and magazines, and I mean like Harvard School of Medicine has a department that studies happiness. There's a whole new psychology called the positive psychology, and what that does. And they say we don't want to just treat mental illness anymore. We want to learn ways that we can help the person have a more satisfactory life. Boy, that's better than just doling out antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, which is what most of the medical doctors who have moved into any kind of a psychiatric practice do. It's all about writing out the scripts. And now there's a whole concept of psychology called positive psychology that says we don't want to just give you medication anymore. Whoa, wait a minute. We want to assist you in living a better life. This is big. This is huge. And so we have these ideas about happiness that kind of make me feel better, because I've been beating the drum of being happy for years and years and years now. Makes me feel better and brings it out to the general public in a greater and greater way. And so I look back at my roots, which are metaphysics, New Thought, mental science, and I go back to this idea of happiness, because happiness is not just this, well, let's just have an affect of happiness. Let's just have a mood swing of happiness. Happiness is a critical stage of spiritual growth. We're studying an author that wrote a book in the year 1900 on Tuesday mornings, and her name is Annie Ritz-Malitz, and the book is called Primary Lessons in Healing, and it's all about teaching people how to, through mental use of law, create a healing in someone else. It's a 12-week course. Back in the 1900s, things were faster. Now, in order to be a practitioner that stands up here, you've got 4 years of training. Back then, it was 12 weeks, and we're taking a little bit longer than that because we need to kind of absorb it. But Annie Ritz-Malitz studied with Emma Curtis Hopkins, and Emma Curtis Hopkins studied with Mary Baker Eddy. Now, Christian Science and Mary Baker Eddy is great in the healing department. Where they get kind of screwed up is that they don't let you have any other information other than what Mary Baker Eddy said, and that is a limiting system, and that is their downfall. But the idea that someone can come up to me and I can see God and health and wholeness in them, I can know that in the totality of my being, and through the oneness of all life, my consciousness and their consciousness is one consciousness, and they experience a healing from that, is right on, and that is what we do. In Science of Mind, we do spiritual mind treatment, which is to know that truth about someone else. And how many people have had a demonstration from a practitioner working with them in this center? Look around the room. This is what we do. We create with each other. We create for each other. And we create for ourselves. How many people have had a demonstration from treating for yourself? Yes, this is what we do. We create a better life. Now, it's fascinating that Annie Ritz-Malitz, in her very first lesson, says the very first step of learning how to use mental science to effect a healing in someone else is that the practitioner, that would be you, have to be happy. That is the first step. You cannot be morbid, you cannot be morose, you cannot be angry, you cannot be upset and have any positive influence on anybody else, including yourself. Instead of it being an uplifting consciousness, you're a bummer, you're a downer, you're an energy suck, you're just a dark hole of nastiness, and instead of lifting people up, you suck people in. It's true. You know people like that. You get around them and you go, oh, they just took the life right out of me. Now I just don't think I can make it anymore. And you get around somebody else and they're up and they're positive and they're seeing possibility and they're optimistic. And you go, I just feel so much better. Thank you for having coffee with me. Now I know I can do anything and life is wonderful. And in that moment, your body has healed, whether you know it or not. The statistics about physical healings with people because of their attitude is huge. And it was a couple of years ago that oncologists started to ask people whether or not they believed that the treatment would work. Because they said if the person didn't believe the chemotherapy was going to help them, it wouldn't help them. If they didn't believe the radiation was going to help them, it wouldn't help them. And so that's this beginning to awaken to the idea that we're more than just, meat suits. We're more than just chemical reactions, and we're governed by our genetic predispositions. None of that is true. We are powerful, creative, spiritual beings. We are God in form as us. There is an inherent health and wholeness within each of us. And if we can allow that to just be in its normal state, we will be in vibrant health. We have to really stomp it down and cover it up and shove it down in order for us to create illness. Anytime somebody comes to me and they're sick, I go, wow, you are pretty powerful. Because germs are not real. You managed through agreement in mind to the therapy flu commercial to say it's flu season, and you managed to create that experience in your body. You are amazingly powerful. That's why people don't come to me as often as they used to. And so since you created this experience in your body, understand that you can let it go. And what will reveal itself is the perfect health and wholeness that always was. And people say, oh, Barbara, come on. This medicine is real. I'm going to get an email that says, don't you know there's a doctor in the room? God bless you. Medicine is real, and that if I'm sick and I take a pill, then it makes me feel better. Do you know that if you're sick and you take a pill, it's not the pill that makes you feel better? If you're sick and you take a pill and you believe that the pill is going to make you feel better, it is your belief that makes you feel better. In order for the Food and Drug Administration to approve a new drug, it has to at least outperform a placebo. Many of them by very little. Many of the drugs that are being prescribed and distributed to people all across our great country are hardly better than a placebo. Which means it is the placebo effect that is making someone feel better. That's making your cholesterol go down, that's making your body feel better, that's making your mind work better, whatever you're taking, I don't even know, for whatever it is that you think is going on, the reason that you're feeling better is because you're believing that it's going to make you feel better. And they do all these double-blind studies about this. And so if I give you something and say, you're going to get better with this, you get better. It's called a placebo. Also, if someone says, you have genetic predisposition to XYZ, your mother had it, your aunt had it, your sister had it, you're going to get it. That's called a nocebo, and you get sick. This is true even for children who have been adopted back in the day that nobody told anybody they were adopted. They were raised in a family that had a predisposition for heart disease. They got heart disease. At the prescribed age, they got heart disease. Only probably post-mortem, they found out that the biological family that the person came from had no heart disease. It was all in their head. There's this amazing studies being done by a guy named Bruce Lipton that we actually met in Unity 23, 24 years ago. And what he has discovered is that genetics do not play a role in your cell. Now just breathe that one in for a minute. Genetics don't play a role in your cell. You have genetics, but what tells your cell what to do is not the inside of the cell, it's the outside of the cell. And so if you take a healthy cell and you put it in a sick environment, and you know some people like that, the cell gets sick. But if you take a sick cell and you put it in a healthy environment, the cell gets healthy. And it has nothing to do with the genetics inside of the cell. It has everything to do with the environment. You are a bag of cells. What kind of an environment do you put yourself in? Are you toxic? Think about it. Well, Barbara, you really could have done that better. You should have done this. And my God, they cut all your hair off. What are you going to do? You'll just never be the same because your strength is like Samson. It comes from your hair. And now what are you going to do? And you shouldn't have done that, and you should have done that, and you'll never do that. That's a toxic environment for my cells. So what's going to happen? If I put healthy cells in a toxic environment, I'm going to get sick. Now, if I start to get sick and I have the wherewithal to say, oh my God, what did I do? I was critical to myself. I was angry at other people. I was blaming. I was feeling helpless and hopeless. And now I'm starting to get sick. What can I do? Create a healthy environment for your cells. How do you do that? Well, studies show that the way to create an immediate healthy environment for every cell in your body is to be happy. To be happy. When you are happy, the payoff is that your body is healthy. When you are happy, your bones are strong. When you are happy, you go through what they call the relaxation response, which is the counter to the fight or flight process, which is, oh my God, there's a saber-toothed tiger and I'm a cave woman and I have to run or I have to fight for my life, except we create that 100 times a day. Back in the cave days, we only did it once every few years. And the rest of the time we were hanging out. Now we're doing it 100 times a day. But when we're happy, our body goes into what's called the relaxation response. And do you know that that's when your organs rejuvenate? The things that they say could never heal. Do you remember when they said once you were on insulin, you'd never get off insulin? And now the doctor says, well, this is our plan. We're going to use insulin for a short amount of time, and then we're going to get you off. Well, why? Back in just a few years ago, they said once your pancreas stops creating insulin, it can never kick into gear again. And now they're saying, oh my gosh, it's just a matter of managing it, coaxing it, waking it up, blowing kisses at your pancreas, and saying, I'm happy and I love you and I'm healthy. And you will regenerate that organ and it will be completely functioning. You know, you can take just a little piece of a liver and give it to somebody else and it'll grow a whole new liver. You know, there are more and more documentations of digits being cut off and then fully growing with bones and knuckles and nails. It's just in our heads. And being happy allows the body to do what it was meant to do. You were born to heal. You were born to heal, and if you are sick, it is because you are not happy. If you're sick, it's because you are not happy. Do you know happy people live 7 to 14 years longer than unhappy people? Because unhappy people, why in the world do you want to stay here anyway? You might as well check out. Life's a drag. Optimistic people have a 77% less chance of having a heart attack. So if you are happy and optimistic, you're going to live longer. And if you are unhappy and pessimistic, you're going to die and probably of a heart attack. Because it's your heart. And what is it when you're in your joy? You open up. What is it that the old metaphysicians were teaching their students when they said the first thing you have to do is be happy? What is spirit but joy? And so if you're not happy, you're closed down to that experience of connection with all that is, with the divine, with spirit. When you're open to that sense of joy, you're right there. Me and God, man, we are cooking. And I am happy. I am excited about life. I am uplifted. I am inspired about life, about every breath, about every step. And my body is healthy. This is how we experience the byproducts, the payoffs of happiness. Do you know that happy people have better jobs? Do you know that happy people are more creative? Do you know that happy people have a better social life? And I don't mean quantitative, I mean qualitative, because some people like, you know, we have the extroverts that are out there and the introverts that are not. But whatever it is you're doing, you have better. Well, what is a happy person? People like happy people. Only miserable people like miserable people, and you don't want to be there. Happy people like happy people, and you have a greater experience of life. Happy people play. Remember play? What did Jesus say? Except as you become like a little child, you will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Remember, he also said the kingdom of heaven is within. You've got to become like a little child. You've got to play. Happy people play. Happy people are more comfortable in their bodies. They're more physically fit just because they're playing. They're moving in the world. Happy people look better. They do. Happy people have better relationships. This is all studied. This is all, you know, you can come up with statistics and all of these things. Happy people have better relationships. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone who was miserable? Have you ever been the one that was miserable? Have you ever been stuck with yourself in misery? Leave. Because when you are experiencing the presence of the divine as joy, as happiness, then things happen. Things that would have gone to somebody else go to you. Things that would have turned into illness, turn into health. People show up. Experiences show up. You're not afraid to take a risk. You're not afraid to do something because you're solid about who you are. You feel that presence of spirit, whether you know what it is or not. People who are happy are connected with the divine, whether they know it or not. But do you know that people who are a part of spiritual community are happier than people who are not? And if you are happier, you get more of the payoffs. I would go so far as to say that that people who are happy are more prosperous. And I'm not going to say they have more money, because there are people in the world who are strictly ruthless to the end of getting money. But happy people enjoy their money. So happy people have a prosperous experience with the money that they have. And we all know that whatever you bless and focus upon and praise, you're going to get in your life. If you praise it, you'll raise it, you know, so praise your bank account and watch it raise. That as you experience more of the joy of having money, money seeks you out and finds you. There are so many reasons to do whatever it takes to be happy. And I know that sometimes we're not happy. Sometimes things happen and we say, well, because that thing happened, then I won't be happy. If I was in my summer prosperity class, I would say, well, just pull out your wallet and start throwing all your money away, because as long as you stay unhappy, you will be losing money. You might as well go ahead and climb into bed, because as long as you stay unhappy, you will get sick. And you might as well tell all your friends just to go away, that you'll not be with them anymore, because if you stay unhappy, you will not have those friends anymore. It is so important for you to be willing to do whatever it takes to get out of unhappiness and move into happiness. And if you're happy, to move into greater happiness. You want to feel good in life? And I know there are people who say, well, there's got to be a plant-based diet, and it's got to be gluten-free, and my God, don't ever eat at McDonald's. No, 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 no. Be happy. You can eat whatever you want. You can eat your plant-based diet and your gluten-free and your raw stuff and whatever it is people are eating now, but be happy in that. And if you find yourself in a position where you are eating something that you think isn't good for you, stop thinking that. Be happy about it. Be happy about it, whatever it is. Oh my gosh, I'm at a family gathering and all they have are ham sandwiches on white bread with mustard, and there's not even a piece of lettuce on that. What am I going to do? Be happy about it. And take that in, enjoy, and you raise the vibration of that. And as spirit in form as you, it's all God, it's all good. And your body heals. If there's anyone in this room that has some kind of an illness or a disease, I can guarantee you that if you move into a state of happiness, your body will heal. Period. End of story. I'm not qualifying it. I'm not saying with medication or surgery or anything like that. If you change your mind about what life is about, move into a state of connectedness and alignment with spirit, all that is, your body will return to its natural state of health and wholeness. The end. I know sometimes it's hard to be happy. I know sometimes it's tempting to be unhappy, and the world will support you in your misery. But whatever it takes, whatever you need to do, your life depends on it. The quality of your life depends on it. The length of your life depends on it. And every second of every hour of every day in this life depends on your ability to do it, to be happy, and get the payoffs. And so it is.